Hello, beautiful people. This is the one and only Slam Podcast. Listen, before we get started, I need you to do me a favor. Like, share, and subscribe. That's right down there, subscribe. All right? Now, before we get into what we're going to be talking about, the fragrance of the day is Nishane Hasavat. Listen, especially, it's cold right now here in Kansas City. It's perfect for the winter, fall, spring. Actually, you can wear this all year round. And it lasts about 8-9 hours on your skin, on your clothes too. I'm not lying. This is man, that smells good. This is some amazing stuff. Look it up. You can read all the notes yourself because I'm not about to do that. But trust me, it smells great. It lasts forever. All right, here we go. The top 6 heavyweights boxers of all time. Top 6 heavyweight boxers of all time. Not in any particular order. All right. I'm a boxing fan. I'm also a basketball, football, baseball. I mean, I watch it all, but I have a love for boxing, especially when it's, when the fix is not in. Let's just say with the judges. But anyway, all right. So not in any particular order. We're just gonna go with it. All right. So we got my big man, 6'4", was about 220, 225 in his prime. Big George Foreman. Down goes Frazier. He whooped Frazier's, you know what. Then, ran into Ali. Ali's played those mind games with George and, end up losing. George, a couple of years, about 3-4 years later, end up finding Jesus, retired for almost the whole 80s before he made his comeback. But go back and watch George against Joe Frazier. And, he took him to the woodshed. He hit Joe Frazier so hard, Joe jumped off the canvas. Just go watch it. Then he fought him a second time and beat him even worse. You see what he did to Ken Norton. He demolished Ken Norton. I believe that was the first round. But, we all love a comeback story. George came back, 1994. Was losing a whole fight against Michael Moore. Knocked him out. Became the oldest heavyweight champion of the world. George finished with a record of 76-5, 68 KOs, and we all know the famous George Foreman grills. So I got George Foreman in my top 6. Now moving right along, Rocky Marciano. Retired at 49-0, 43 KOs. Now Rocky fought in the 40s and 50s. I wish he was born later so we could have seen him fight, the likes of Sonny Liston and Floyd Patterson in the 60s. But Rocky Marciano was knocking everybody out, and he retired at 32 years old with a record of 49-0. You have to put him up there. You got to put Rocky Marciano. And the guy was only 5'10", so you got to put Rocky Marciano in the top 6. Moving from Rocky Marciano, we go to one of my favorites, the best jab in boxing history. Whether it's heavyweight, middleweight, featherweight, cruiserweight, light heavyweight, is none other than Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes had the best jab, 69 wins, 6 losses with a record of 44 KOs. He was a bad boy. We seen what he did. You see what he did to Ken Norton? I don't want to hound on Ken Norton, but I'm going to bring up Ken Norton because he needs his flowers too. But Larry Holmes was 48-0, was going to tie Rocky Marciano's 49-0. And this is where I hate this part about boxing because I feel like the fix was in. He fought Michael Spinks when he was 48-0, and I felt like Larry won that fight, not Michael Spinks. I have met Michael Spinks. He's a good guy, but Larry Holmes won that fight. Larry Holmes should be 49-0. Should have been 49-0 that day. So that's just my opinion. But Larry held the belt for a good 7-8 years. You know, we saw what he did to Ali. Ali should have never been in there. But Larry Holmes, great champion. I wish we could have seen, if George did not retire in the 80s, we would have had Larry Holmes versus George Foreman. I mean, wouldn't that have been a dream matchup? Going from Larry Holmes, we're going to go to my man Joe Louis. You know, Joe Louis still has the longest reign as a heavyweight champion. I think that reign was 12 years. He fought from 37 to 49. We know he fought Rocky Marciano and got knocked out, but Joe was over the hill. So, I mean, we don't count that one. But Joe finished career with 68 wins, 3 losses, and 54 KOs. We saw that fight with him and I think it was Max Smelly, one of the greats to ever do it. Now, coming in after Joe Louis, top out number 5, we got our boy Jack Johnson. No, Jack Johnson was crazy because, you know, he fought from 1897 all the way up to 1928. And, you know, back then, the Jim Crow laws, you know, it was against the law for a black man to be talking to or in a relationship with a white woman. Jack was like, listen, I don't care. I'm the heavyweight champ. I'm gonna do what I want to do, and you don't like it, so, you know, do something. And they did. He was arrested. Lord knows how many times that man was arrested, but he went out the way he wanted to go out, and that's how it was taboo. You could not talk to a white woman being a black man, let alone speak to him. But he was dating him, and we know what else he was doing with him too. I mean, but Jack was his own man. Jack finished with what is that? 77 wins, 48 by KO, 13 losses. You know, they couldn't touch Jack back then. So Jack Johnson, you got to put him up there. Now, the number one, not the number one, but we're just gonna say top 6. You know, round out the top 6. I don't want to do number ones because I don't like to get caught up in records. I don't like to get caught up in eras. Everybody's era was different. Everybody did what they did in their era. So, but we gotta holler at my boy Muhammad Ali, right? Muhammad Ali, a record of 55 wins, 5 losses, 37 KOs. We know what he did to Sonny Liston. We know what he did to Floyd Patterson. We know what he did to a bull in George Foreman and Zaire. But think about the time that he was not allowed to fight because he refused to go to the war. That was a 3-year stretch. Imagine what we could have seen, the greatness, man still in his prime for those 3 years that he was robbed. So you got to put him up there. And it's the three-time heavyweight champ of the world. Captured that 3rd time against Leon Spinks, Michael Spinks' brother. But Muhammad fought Ken Norton 3 times. I believe they gave Muhammad 2 of those wins, maybe gave Ken 1, but Ken Norton beat Muhammad Ali 3 times. All 3 of those fights, Ken won. If you go back and watch the fights, Ken Norton won all 3 of those fights. And that's what I say. I love boxing. I don't like the politics of boxing when, you know, the judges and all that under the table stuff. That's the part I hate about it. But still doesn't take any away from Ali being one of the greats. But I just had to tell y'all, you know, Ken Norton should get his flowers, even though he's not in the top 6. But he was one hell of a fighter. So that's it. That's my top 6. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Peace.